let's face it, kids are feral. Well, ours are. Look, we love the free-spirited child in all their sassiness, frankness, and curiosity. However, a child is born and then they're moulded to fit into civilization, often at the expense of their true selves. So, how do we raise a child, let them be who they are, and be completely wild and free, yet still survive in this world? Ricky, thoughts?
I think sometimes it's better to ask for forgiveness than it is to ask for permission.
Mm-hmm.
So I think sometimes, especially with kids, of course, if anyone's being hurt or if there's situations where a child perhaps, using language or something that could be offensive, then I think then, of course, would be a time to set some limits. But to see where it goes, I think is a nice idea, to have freedom there to begin with as a baseline.
Yeah. And, setting those limits outside in society or even within the own home is a great opportunity to talk about consent. So we signed up for this by having a family, by bringing you into this world, and we knew what we were signing up for. Chaos. That's childhood, right? It's just chaos. Poo and wee and all sorts of things. Food that gets thrown because you're not going to eat it. Food that gets hidden for some reason. Why would you hide food around the house? Who does that?
Especially when you've never been forced to eat anything.
Yeah.
Like, why would you think I need to hide this? It's just, that's a good spot,
And there was mold from that. That was months worth of food. That was disgusting.
It's a collection.
Yeah, one of the worst things we've ever had to endure. But we knew what we were signing up for. And the thing is, society doesn't necessarily agree with that, and neither do randoms out there, like friends even. So it's a great opportunity to explain what consent is. Someone has to agree to be part of this joke, this play, whatever it is. So we have to accept that a lot of people aren't signing up for that. So we need our kids to know that, hey, you know what? It's really, really fun when we're all in on the joke. But when we're not, it's not a joke anymore. It's actually an attack. It can be offensive. So it's a really good opportunity to let your kids know, hey, this is the beginning of consent.
Well said.
The reason why this topic came up between us is because being in the homeschooling community, kids are often just running wild. And it's really beautiful to watch.
Yes.
But we notice sometimes that, people in the community have different expectations of children.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, how wild can you be until you've got to rein it in? And you make a really good point there that it's until someone gets hurt or until someone gets offended by a language or whatever, which is understandable.
Yeah.
I think it's fair enough for someone in the public to say, hey, your kid was saying F and this and that. And, I really didn't like hearing that. It upset my child. That's fair enough, I think.
Yes.
So you've answered the question, really. Just take it to the limit until there's any hurt, right?
Yeah.
So I guess what annoys me then is, why do we put them in a box that's so far away from that limit? That's the thing. And it's this whole sit up straight, kids should be seen, not heard and all that. How did that happen in our culture? That kids were seen as these things that needed to be made to be obedient rather than this spirit to be celebrated.
I guess it's more convenient, isn't it?
Yeah, true.
It wasn't that long ago when children used to be able to be hung up in a closet if parents were going out to the ball or wherever.
To be fair, we couldn't get a babysitter that
But yeah, you just wrap them up in a, like a straitjacket and hang them up in the cupboard and go off on your merry way. So that was like I don't know, was it about just over 100 years ago? Not long, really.
Yeah.
So I guess kids in some ways were seen maybe as insurance, but until they became that insurance in terms of looking after elderly people perhaps, then they were just seen as an inconvenience, a noisy inconvenience. So perhaps
we just did whatever was easiest.
Yeah.
And I guess it just shows to me that raising children, the rules around it weren't about morality and doing the right thing. It was just about order. It was just about making sure that the world could keep running the way it did. But you've got these amazing things, these amazing spirits. And our solution for that was to box them.
Yeah.
That's
quite
really
literally
sad.
in the cupboard.
Yeah. And we wonder why, someone hits 18 and goes completely wild. The approach we've taken is that we want our kids to have healthy outlets to be themselves. And it's really funny when we go out in public and people are like, oh, your kids are so well behaved. We're like, you should come visit. I'm constantly getting beaten.
In a positive way.
In a positive way, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's creating that positive, free environment at home.
Yes.
That allows them to do that.
Yes. It's not like as if as soon as they get out the door, thank God, we've finally got some freedom, let's go crazy.
Yeah, they get the vape out and hit the pen.
But yeah, I guess they can be completely wild here.
Yeah.
If they need to be or want to be. And then they sort of, I guess, get it out of the system perhaps, and then they tend to be extremely polite most of the time outside, and then at home it can be a totally different story. But it's never in a negative way.
No.
Unless they've got big emotions that they need to release, that different story kind of thing. And we welcome that as well.
Absolutely. I really wanted to make sure that we added that too, because it can be really confronting when someone's in a bad mood and they're saying things that they don't mean. We've all done it.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's got to come out.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you don't have anyone to say that to, it comes out sideways and as a stabbing or a mass shooting or something, right?
Yeah. So we've tried to welcome the full spectrum of emotion.
Yeah, and that's not easy. Seriously. I struggle with that. There are days where, or especially at night time, when I'm really tired and something flares up, it's like, we just need to get to bed.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to get better at that. I'm trying to go to bed early so I don't have to deal with it. Now, you've led me down the rabbit hole here, Ricky, because you talked about kids being hung up in closets. Why do we have children? That's the thing, right? Because if the point of having children was an insurance policy to take care of you when you died, all that sort of stuff, things have evolved since then, especially in developed countries. Here in Australia, we've got Centrelink, right? That's your child. You pay your taxes and invest that way. And when you get old, you get a pension, which doesn't cover rent, by the way. So you've got to make sure you own your primary place of residence. But other than that, you've got your pension. So why even bother then if you're going to hang your, proverbially speaking, go to hang your children up in a closet? Or literally.
Yeah. Well, hopefully for the pure joy of it.
But then how do you have the joy if you're squashing that joy?
Yeah.
So my unsolicited advice, random guy on the internet, is enjoy the spirit of the child. Now think about what the purpose of childhood is. And it's to do dumb stuff. It really is. It's to just let it all out.
Yeah,
it's just free. To explore. And the thing about life that really sucks is that people have figured it out. Over time, we've got all these systems in place that if you just live like this, you'll live a pretty decent life. But to get to that point and to have the full gamut of emotion explored, you've got to do the crazy stuff, unfortunately. I wish you could just slot into the system and everything was perfect. But sometimes you just got to be like, I know I shouldn't touch that electric fence. But I don't know how it feels. My dad did it once. He said it's really painful. His dad did it once and said it was really painful. But I need to find out for myself. And that's what it's like with so many things.
Yeah.
And we hate that as parents because we're like, I've done that so you don't have to. Yeah. But that's not how it works. No. It's you did it so you could experience it. Right? And that's life. It's to be experienced. And there's that old saying, there's a difference between understanding and realization. And kids need realization, so they've got to do wild stuff.
Yeah. And I guess there's also that aspect, as Carl Jung would say, owning your own shadow sort of thing and expressing your shadow. And if you either repress that shadow or have that part of yourself squashed, then it's going to come out, like you said, sideways in a really unpleasant way. So not saying that the wildness is a shadow side, but it can be sometimes. So,
it will turn into one.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I think that's important as well.
Yeah. So look, normally we have some sort of topic. We've just really wanted to celebrate the child. I think that's what this was all about. And it's often seen as a burden, childhood. It's often seen as, I cannot wait until they're grown up. I've heard the joke, I don't want to have children, I want to have adults. Yeah. But there's something magical about children. And we have to do everything we can to preserve that and allow them to experience that for as long as possible. That childhood magic.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ricky.
Thanks, Kiwi. Thank you.